third downs on their side of the ball, they were 7 of 12 on third down conversions, and a lot of those being able to get them to third and manageable and third and shorts, and having the quarterback in the run game. So those are things that were inevitably affected the outcome of the football game in their favor. So we've got to get in tomorrow and really get those mistakes corrected. Field position as well. We were backed up inside the 5-yard line a couple times. And I thought we had a good plan for that coming out. When one of them were able to go 99 yards and get some momentum back on our side before halftime. But when it's all said and done, and the clock hit 0, they made more plays than we did. And some of the critical areas of the game that turned it into their favor.
Okay, questions for Coach Key? Please raise your hand. We've got a microphone. We'll start right here with Brian.
Brent, I imagine with an athletic quarterback like Jakari Brown that trying to arm tackle him, is really can really be costly, and he really made some moves out there tonight.
Yeah, I mean, you want to get a body on a body and near leg, near shoulder on tackles, and then have the other guys swarming around to help assist in it.
Coach Key, it felt like key possessions, first possession, second half. You went in with a lot of momentum at the end of the first half. Came out and had that possession. It didn't produce for you. Did you feel like that was a turning point or just one of several?
No, I don't think it was a turning point, but when you talk about the flow of a football game, that middle 8 with the last 4 minutes of the first half and first 4 of the second half, that's a critical time in the game. And we knew going into the locker room, really that the start of that drive before halftime, that if we could gain some momentum back on our side with a score, it would do a lot. Knowing we were getting the ball coming out the second half, that was the reason we declined the coin toss early, be able to work that middle 8 portion to be a critical factor in the game. We knew it was going to be a critical factor, and then did it decide the outcome of the game? No. Did it have an effect on it? Yes, it did.
Russell.
Any update on Zach Pyron after leaving the game with an injury?
Yeah, he wasn't able to come back in. We'll give an update next week or after he has a chance to go in and get fully looked at.
Okay.
To sort of follow up, was Jeff cleared to play, and kind of could you shed light on kind of what emergency basis means?
Yeah, he was deemed an emergency basis in the game, and at the time that Pyron got hurt, he was not available to go in. So,
Was he cleared to play?
I'll just leave it at that.
And just following that up, you said at the time Pyron got hurt, Sims was not available,
Yeah, he wasn't able to go in.
but he was cleared to play.
I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
You were able to win your first 2 games as interim coach. I'm sure that gave you and the program a lift. How disappointing have these last few weeks been since then?
I mean, anytime you lose a football game, it's disappointing. Win games, it's not disappointing, but you just they didn't agree with what I said. No, but anytime you lose a game, it's disappointing. So, the true disappointment comes if you don't come back the next week ready to work, and that starts tomorrow. Challenge the guys in the locker room that the character of our team has got to prevail, and it's got to rise up tomorrow. The guys that have the character that it's important to come back tomorrow and get to work and ready to play another football game next Saturday. If there is anybody that doesn't, which I don't think there will be. I mean, this is you only get so many games of football in your life, and they run out at some point. So those guys have to wake up tomorrow and be ready to come in and understand what the mistakes were and what we have to correct, but then also build on what things that were good in the game and move forward and be ready to play a good North Carolina opponent next Saturday.
Questions?
I think Miami finished the game with 44 rushes. Did you expect them to run the ball as much as they did?
Yes, we did. Depending on which quarterback was in the football game, we expected it to be a quarterback-driven run game, and that's what it was with number 11 in the game.
Coach, both your quarterbacks, 2 interceptions today. Is it maybe they weren't comfortable, or maybe they were not seeing something, maybe forcing the ball? What do you kind of attribute some of that to?
Well, excuse me. The first one, and I'll have to go back and look at them all, but the first one was a play down the sideline, a go ball that was kind of a 50-50 ball down the sideline, and they ended up getting an interception on the 1-yard line. The one with Nate went down on that one, got air knocked out of him on that play. So it's a 50-50 ball that they were able to come up with. The other ones, we'll get in and look at it and see exactly what happened. But you can't turn the ball over. that was the number one most critical factor in the game. It is always, and that's one of the reasons we've been able to have some success week to week. It was being able to take care of the football, and then on the other side, be able to get the football. And it flipped the other way today. So we've got to go back and look exactly why those things occurred. One of them was on a gadget shot play that we're looking to gain some momentum back in our favor on, and so those are things that we've definitely got to look at, and we've got to correct those things ASAP in order to be able to go play the game next week and have success in the game.
Anything else for Coach Key? Patrick?
Coach Key, pardon me, working off that same question there for a second, how tricky is it as a head coach to address your team? This margin of loss was obviously quite significant, and yet they just picked off 2 passes inside their own 5, one of which instantly became a touchdown. So in many respects, you weren't that far off. You kind of walk that line for confidence versus constructive criticism?
As a coach, you can't look at the scoreboard and make judgments based on the scoreboard and how you address your team and how you prepare your team and how you work with your team. And for the last, 6 games, that is the way our team has worked. We look at what we have to do to prepare during the week, what we have to do fundamentally during the game, what we have to do in the grand scheme of the how the game is being played, and go out and play every single play for 60 minutes in the game, one play at a time, and not look at the scoreboard. And when a team is truly conditioned to do that, then you're able to go back in after a game, whether you win or lose, and make those adjustments and make those corrections, because you can't look at a scoreboard and truly be honest with yourself of how the game was played. There's been games that people have won by a lot of points that they made a ton of mistakes, and vice versa. So we've got to be extremely objective in the way we look at game film and the way our kids play the game, because that's what carries over on Saturdays. Yeah, it's great to say, oh, we played really hard, or, it should have been closer than it was, but at the end of the day, we don't look at the scoreboard, but it is the way you're judged. That's life. So all the external things that these kids hear every single day is about scoreboard, the score, win, lose. So as coaches, that is our number one priority every single day, is to take these guys and condition them so that that does not become something that affects the way that they prepare, that affects the way that they play the game. And regardless of what the score is in the game, when you can turn on the film and not look at that, when the film comes on, it shows the scoreboard, it shows the wide shot, it shows the end zone shot. Well, you should be able to turn the game on regardless of when it is in the football game, and never look at the scoreboard and not be able to tell, because that's how a football team has got to play every single game. It's no different than Zach Pyron. If you looked at his score last week at the end of the game and the one he scored 2 weeks or the week prior, you can't tell a difference in the way that kid was playing in the game, regardless of the score. And as a coach, that's what you look for. That's what we look for in our kids. That's what we strive every single day to get our kids to be able to believe in. And when they truly believe in it, and they've been able to do that long enough, and you build on one time, all of a sudden now, a bunch of those instances, they become something big, right? That's what culture of a team is. That's culture. Culture's not something you that's the culture of your team.
Ken, can you wrap this up?
Sure. Their run game, particularly in the first half, it seemed like was instrumental. And I'm curious if you feel like your front, defensive front, was responding, playing the way you think they can.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a quarterback-driven run game like they did, you become an extra hat. And then you add the read element to it. So there's different things that we worked on up front on the defensive side of the ball to create confusion on their side. To change gaps, to move the front from one way to the other. To be able to play different techniques with the defensive ends, to change the reads of the quarterback, to take away some of those plays. And there were times that we executed the way we're supposed to do. And there were times that, we executed and they made a play. And whether it was a couple of the counter replays with the running back wide to the field where, you're in position and the kid slips right through it and, was able to circle the defense on us. So, the overlap in the defense is something we got to continue to preach and to harp on, and to be able to have those guys when something like that does happen, the overlap in the defense, the other person is coming to get the player down, to get the ball down, and negate the big plays.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.
All right, so thank you.
Denise? Rod?
I know you guys are probably disappointed the way your last game and Bobby Dodd went down. You know, what led to, Miami being able to rush over 200 yards today? Was anything in particular, poor tackling? What did you guys see out there?
One thing they did have a bye week, but they had extra time to like prepare for us and like put in stuff that we hadn't necessarily practiced. That was one thing. They came out. They had some good scheme. I mean, credit to them. They got scholarship players too. They made some good runs and stuff, and just credit to them. It was, they got us today in the rush game. So just something we gotta go back and clean up and get right next week.
Next. Ken?
I guess to that in a little bit, can you, Ace, describe just the challenge with number 11, how hard he was to tackle, and just him being a run threat, how that changes what they can do?
Yeah, he was a good athlete. Bigger body guy. He ran hard. That's about it. He just, they called his number and he made some plays for the team. So credits to him. Yeah, that's about it.
Charlie, you guys have been so successful creating turnovers. Sometimes that's kind of luck of things, but could you tell that they're kind of mindful of that in the way they're carrying the ball?
Yeah, definitely. That's one thing I noticed in the beginning of the game. We just got to keep trying to press the issue, though, even though that was the case.
Anything else? Ken?
Ace, I'm curious, when the offense was on the field, it was 14-7, and they're driving, and before Zach throws the interception with a flea flicker, were you guys kind of thinking, this is where we take it, we're going to tie the game up, and we'll get a stop, and we'll change the game? Could you describe, was it that sort of feeling maybe?
Yeah, for sure, every time the offense go out there, we plan for them to get points and then for us to go back out and do our job and get a stop. So, they made a play on defense, they threw the pick, and it's just our job. It was our job to go out there and make it right. So that's just a game of football, really.
Really, for both of you, how do you guys, I guess, kind of bounce back from this and look forward? You've got a couple more games left, and I guess last home game here at Bobby Dodd, but you still have some things you can kind of get done in the last couple of weeks.
Just come back and, we focus on the process driven. So next week, our process for next week starts tomorrow. Come back in, get our bodies right, get the film watched, get the film corrected, and then it's on the UNC. And that's just how it is. Just keep going with the process, and we got to come back. We got 2 more games, and we still got to go out there, and we got to play. And, yeah.
Anything else? Okay, fellas. Appreciate you.